What are we doing? What is this called? What are we calling this?
I think it's like drunk faded mates.
Drunk mates.
It's
drunk mates.
Drunk mates.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, it kind of began with drunk mates. So Andy, Christopher, why don't you tell everybody what they won? Wait, Eric is hang on. Eric wants to check.
Oh,
okay. All right, we're good. We're good to go. We've been approved.
Thank you, Eric.
Well, this group, I think minus Jen wasn't able to join us, got drunk a couple of weeks ago to celebrate all the Sagittarius birthdays. And we got to talking Sagittarius birthdays. We got to talking about some of our favorite Bananas books. And one author that I think most of us discovered this year during the quarantine came up, the prolific, the filthy, the Bananas, Jessa Kane. And so we thought it would be fun to do a crossover drunk romance history faded mates episode about Jessa Kane in general.
Yes.
And so some of us have read all of the Jessa Kanes. Some of us have read some of the Jessa Kanes. Some of us have read like one of the Jessa Kanes.
New to Jessa Kane.
And so we're coming together to just talk about our love affair with these books that, I mean,
they really define description in some ways, don't they?
They really do. I mean, they're a shot of id right into your veins.
Yes.
That's what they are.
On her website, I just went to her website because I wanted to be an actual professional tonight and like have something to say about Jessa Kane. There is no information about her on her website. So whoever you are, thanks for playing, Jessa. We love you. But
there's a burner phone feel to it, and I love it.
Totally does.
Absolutely.
And her website says Jessa Kane, and underneath it says satisfying.
Totally.
Yeah,
100%.
Okay.
That's all you need to know.
Like
Sarah.
that is a flex. She's like, I just have, this is the word.
Okay,
so we should all identify ourselves.
Yes.
I was like, can I call the fucking
Jen is
order, please?
bringing people together.
I got to do this thing. Okay, so hi, I'm Jen Reads Romance. I'm with Sarah.
Andy Christopher.
I'm with Sarah.
Christopher, right? And we are doing a Faded Mates Drunk Romance podcast crossover, and we have a group of people with us. So let's have everybody introduce themselves really quickly and say if they think your commentary tonight is stellar and amazing, perhaps they would like to read your book. So tell us more about who you are.
Jen, there are 6 of them. Okay, you're gonna call on them. Okay,
I think that's best. I'm gonna call on people. Yes. Okay, Alexis, you're first.
Hi, I am Alexis Daria. I write contemporary romance. My latest release is You Had Me at Hola.
Fantastic.
And I'm in New York City, so you might hear some honking.
Wait, and I also think you need to tell everybody where on the Kane spectrum you are. Like, are you?
Yes, we need to know that.
Due to the quarantine, my focus is shot. So I've been having a hard time just sitting down and reading books lately. So I mostly do audiobooks. So I've only read one Jessa Kane book in full, but I've started a couple others and I have more on my Kindle.
Jenny Nordbeck, I think, has done some audio for Jessa Kane, and Jenny Nordbeck's voice is like,
what?
That's on a stick.
I didn't know they were an audio.
So I honestly, she's the Wicked Wallflowers podcast co-host.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she's done all of them. I think she talked about doing one. Maybe it's not out yet. I'm not sure. So all of you who think, oh, could Jessa Kane be sexier? Maybe
when Jenny reads it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Miss Scarlet reads it.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. I don't even know if I could listen to it. I think it would literally, I'd have to I probably could. It's fine. Okay.
Nisha, great listening while I'm washing the dishes.
See, there you go. Nisha, you're next.
Hi, everyone. This is Nisha Sharma. I'm back on the pod. My book, The Legal Affair, came out in August, and pre-orders for my second YA, Radha and Jay's Recipe for Romance, are also available, and that comes out in July.
And where are you on the Kane scale?
I'm like probably in the middle of the road. I've finished about 5 or 6 Jessa Kane books. And I have to like clear my Kindle like unlimited list in order to get the rest of them. So it's like right now it's very dramatic. I'm trying to figure out what I have to like offload in order to download more. And
This is the problem with that Kindle Unlimited list is you have to be like, am I really ever going to read that thing? Because I want to read Husky.
exactly.
Or hefty.
You can,
Or Preacher Man
it's
again.
on. They do let you check out the Kindle Unlimited books again, everybody. I just in case.
No, but it does feel. I feel like Nisha and I are on the same page here, which is once it goes off the list, it's never coming
Not
back.
coming back.
So-
100%. 100%.
Fair.
Jen probably has a spreadsheet. You've been on the phone with Amazon all day yelling at them about
I
something.
don't really want to talk about it.
All right, fine.
That's fine.
It's private. That's private.
Like, no, it wasn't helpful. And then you just feel like you're gaslit by Amazon. And so I had to let it go. I actually
I
I
would
wonder
say
if
we
that
all-
was less satisfying than my experience spending 2 hours on the phone with Verizon today. Just on hold. On
no,
hold.
that's not great. At least it was chat, because then you can do other things and then kind of curse and leave when it's time.
No, I was like peeing when Verizon finally picked up. So I had to like run out of my bathroom,
Of course.
slid across the floor to get to the
Andy,
phone.
I know you introduced yourself, but I think you could talk again about what book you have out and your place on the Kane spectrum.
Okay, so again, I'm Andy J. Christopher. I am the host of the Instagram live series, probably soon to be podcast, Drunk Romance History. My latest book that I have out, I put out 2 books this year. I'm very proud of that. Not That Kind of Guy came out in April. It is a workplace romance, and Oops, We Got Married. There's definitely banging, not as much as the Jessa Kane book, but there's banging. And then I have a short little, if you're still interested in a little holiday novella, I have a very dirty holiday novella called All They Want for Christmas, which is a snowed-in MMF bang fest.
Swords
if you're
crossed.
a fan of, if you're a fan of Jessa, you're going to be a fan of All They Want for Christmas. I can guarantee
Well,
that.
speaking of filthy Christmas shorts, I guess we should go to Adriana next. That's the
Oh, yes, hi. Hello.
go.
Hi, I'm Adriana Herrera. I write romance. And yeah, so my latest release is Her Night with Santa, which is a very short, very dirty novelette about a lesbian female Santa and who hooks up with King Melchior's niece at a secret beach villa in the Caribbean.
And a bag of toys.
And and a bag of toys.
It's so hot, you guys. It is scorchingly hot.
Whew.
Yeah.
It is what happens when I go into my id. When I go into my id, there's sex toys and there's Megan Rapinoe. That's it.
I told Adriana knows this already, but this week, obviously, we have been through Christmas in my house with the 7-year-old, and I told her that I read this book where the theory about Santa is that it's like a family of Santas, and the current Santa is a woman. And she was like, "That's amazing. Tell me more." And I was like, "That's all I can tell you about that."
When you're older.
That's amazing. And where are you on the Kane scale, Adriana?
I'm pretty far into it. Like I realized that there's a few that I've missed, but I've read quite a few of them. I would say most of them. And I discovered her over Thanksgiving. It was very recent. I bought a new Kindle and got a KU subscription. And I had heard someone talk about her. Maybe it was one of you. I don't know who I
think it
heard.
was me because I read all of them and I just remembered I started my first one when I was still working in my office. So this was either like late February, early March.
It must have been you. I mean, I think we were chatting or something, and it must have been Andy. And I read one of them, and then I read a lot more of them. And I enjoy them. Like, it's one of those things where, like, some of the things, like some of the like elements to them are not like particularly like my buttons, but it's still so bananas that I need to know what happens.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm a fan.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, LaQuette, you're next.
Hey everyone, I'm LaQuette. I write romance, sometimes very steamy, erotic romance. My next book is coming out in February, and it's titled Jackson. It's about a hokey, grumpy Texas Ranger who falls in love with a sassy New Yorker who puts him in his place. It's loads of fun.
And you are a newcomer to the Kane family, yes?
Yes. I've only read one at this point.
That's okay. That's
LaQuette's
okay.
like, thanks, y'all.
You know what? It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time. Tracey, what about you?
Hi, I'm Tracey Livesay. I write contemporary romance. My latest release was Like Lovers Do, which came out in August and is still available. So go buy it. Just saying. I am new to Jessa Kane. During our Zoom that Andy mentioned earlier, y'all couldn't stop talking about it. And so then y'all talked about doing this, and I was like, I want to come. Literally, figuratively.
Unintended.
So I bought a Jessa Kane book, and so here we are. Here we are.
With your penis mug.
With my penis mug.
She came prepared.
Sorry,
I
She
wish I
came-
had a penis mug.
having a hot toddy. So
She came on brand.
But like that's not like a Jessa Kane penis mug. Those are too small for Jessa
Yes.
Kane penises.
No, it doesn't get penis mug would go all the way around the mug.
I was gonna say you could see it from space.
if you put them all together, like in extension cocks, you know, and they just sort of
Extension.
Extension cocks, like Christmas lights.
like Christmas lights.
Tracy just said that
Which
like
one
that's a
doesn't work?
thing.
They all don't work, so you got to figure out which one works and then plug another one in. You know.
All right, Joanna Shupe.
Hi, I'm Joanna Shupe. I write historical romance. If you like Jessa's books, you might like the anthology Duke I'd Like to F, which I did with Adriana, and some others. Those stories are bananas and very, very hot. On the Kane scale, I have read them all. I don't think I would have gotten through 2020 without Jessa Kane. I'm just gonna put that out there. It would have been a much different year for me had Jessa Kane not come into my life.
I feel that. Okay, Sarah.
Blessing.
I'm Sarah McLean.
Sure.
I write romance novels and I read them. And I'm on the like middle of the road scale. Here's the thing. I just looked at it. I just pulled up Amazon because like I said, all we know from Jess's website is that she's satisfying and I can confirm it. But on Amazon, there are so many of these books.
So many.
And like Nisha, I'm compulsive about my Kindle Unlimited list. So I can only spare one slot at a time. That's
Today,
what she said.
Sarah sent we sort of were like, who's going to talk about which one? And I was like, yeah, whatever. I've read them all. I'm a 100 on the Kane scale. And Sarah's like, I read the one about the stepbrother. And I was like, that's like 7 of them.
Is it? No, I read the one where there are 2 stepbrothers.
The Jewish stepbrother.
Summer intern.
I read their summer intern, but then when I got on the website, there's also his summer intern, which is a similar title, but clearly different.
It's not what you would expect. That's what I'm gonna say.
Wait, what would I expect?
Yeah.
Well, there's you would expect an office building. Yes.
There's
Yes. 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 No. Okay,
Oh,
'cause
maybe I haven't read this one.
Wait, what?
This is like Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods.
It's
Wait, why
Cabin
does he
in the
need an
Woods.
intern in the cabin?
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
I'm asking for things to make sense. There's no logic. to
He's a
this.
survivalist. He's a survivalist.
Wait, a survivalist who requires an intern? This feels
Yes,
like
ma'am.
a serious like workplace violation.
Because he's an author.
They're all assuming workplace
He's a
violation.
survivalist author.
Okay.
No, he
None of us
definitely
are
has the internet.
I'm going to have to run this thing, everybody. We're just going to have to let me do this. Okay. LaQuette and
Sorry.
Tracey, you are, because otherwise it's going to be 9 people talking and Eric will be mad. He'll be like, that wasn't fun. It was too many people talking. LaQuette and Tracey, you have each read one. Which ones have you read? And
And Alexis too.
Okay. So Alexis, I would like to hear about the people who are brand new to the Jessa Kane universe. What'd you read?
I read Hefty, which I thought was super adorable. I will say that I didn't find it as hot as I expected, considering all of the feedback I was getting about Jessa Kane. So I think I'm telling on myself a little bit with what I actually read.
So I have a theory actually, which is if it's Jessa Kane that's like not about a stepbrother or a daddy, it just feels like regular heat.
Except
Okay.
also
But-
Hefty is about high school students, so let's all
Yes.
settle down a little
Oh, is
bit.
that the one about
No, Hefty is
Oh wait,
Oh,
that's
no.
the model.
No,
Right?
this
That's
is
that
Husky.
one
Husky,
That's
excuse me,
Husky.
Husky
Oh,
is the one with the model and the bartender.
Yes.
It was cute. I thought it was hilarious. His especially the hero's perspective, I really enjoyed because it was really fun. It was really fun to see to get to read someone who's aware of their size and not really apologetic for it, right? Like he's looking at her and he's kind of questioning whether she's actually checking him out or not. And he's like, nah, she wouldn't be after my thick ass, you know? And I'm like, dude, I love this. I love that he was so, you know, in love with his own, but he was just settled in his own body. He didn't care. And the only time he ever seemed to feel uncomfortable outside of, you know, when she's teasing him, so to speak. But the only time he's ever uncomfortable is when I guess you can't call him the villain, her, but the antagonist in the story, her best friend, is the only time that you see him feel some sort of insecurity about his size. And it's not because he feels that, but it's because someone else has that thought about him. And I think that's a very important distinction because there are a lot of romances that I've read with plus size heroines, not plus size heroes, but there's always this thread of this person feeling like they can't be loved or there's something wrong with them because they are plus size. And I loved that he knew he was thick, he didn't care. And it was just, and I love that she loved everything about him. And through her eyes, you get to fall in love with this man. And I think that's how you write a plus size person. You allow them to be comfortable in their own skin, as well as allow the person or people who love them to adore everything about them, including their 3X size.
Yeah. And I appreciate her writing plus size men because
Yes.
you never see
Never.
never see plus size, like larger men in romance. I mean, the reality is that most people are married to larger size men. So like the idea and both Hefty and Husky, like the heroine is specifically into like their bodies, like they find them sexy, they find them attractive. They like it's like for and Hefty, it's baffling to her that the other girls in the school aren't so into him because to her he's so attractive and so
Also, I mean, what
hot.
I really love about these books is how much emotion she packs it. Sometimes
Yeah.
she can pack into like 60, 70 pages.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a lot of
'cause-
feelings.
There's a lot of skill there. Like with Hefty, the high schoolers, which it's like, I'm like, okay, I'm like, these are high schoolers with the heat. It was a little harder for me, but the romance
But
is
they're
super
all,
cute.
we should say they're both over 18.
They both are over 18.
Yeah.
The romance
Very
is super
clear,
cute.
very important that they're
Yeah.
both over 18.
Do you know what I love about Jessa Kane, like, and in these situations is that like you see a lot of people try to tackle these issues, or not even issues, like these concepts in romance, and they skirt around it because they're like afraid of like saying what everyone already knows.
Yeah.
But like Jessa Kane is not afraid of just saying it and just putting it on the page. And like I just love it because it feels so much more authentic. And so like the emotion is just so like raw in it because she's just flat out just puts it all out there. And I love that.
There's
doesn't it-
no fear. No
No,
fear.
no,
writing
none.
on any level,
I
any
also love-
topic, any subject, any kink, no fear.
Yeah, and I think it's, I mean, and I wonder how it is for her to write those books, because it feels to me like I was really like saying this about like the novelette I wrote, Her Night with Santa, and it was like everything that is like, I was like, here are my id list things, and let me just write it, and it like just poured out of me because it was so satisfying and delicious for me to write about it, because it's stuff I love to read and I find super hot. So I think like for me, even the books that don't quite work for me in terms of like the kinks, I still enjoy them because I can tell like the enjoyment that was happening when those stories were being written.
Yeah, it doesn't feel the same way as writing. I mean, we should say, for those of you who've never read Jessa Kane, like these are shorts. They are,
like an
teeny
hour
tiny.
read.
It's a 1 hour read.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can really tear through them. I mean, I read like 7 in a night, one night. But what's interesting about that is that it really does feel like she just sits. I wonder how long she actually, I wonder if it's just like a one sitting
Right. Like, I'm just gonna...
story, because it does sort of feel like she just opens up a vein and like, there, now you've got this.
There's not a lot of attention to plot. Like it is really all about like emotions and about
and the plot's twisty turny, like the stepbrother one, their summer intern.
It was
okay, you guys.
Yeah, we talked about like the cute stuff. Now I think we're like, yeah, it's kind of normal.
Okay.
And then on the other end, you have their summer intern.
Okay, the plot of their summer intern is this woman, the heroine, all her heroines. I mean, I think Joanna and Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, but her heroines are always very young, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Because they all get bred by the end.
Always virgins.
Enthusiastically bred.
Yeah.
Usually virgins.
You know what though? She does do some virgin heroes too.
Yes,
yeah, sure. All like
these two heroes are not virgins, just to be clear.
I think what I appreciated about Husky anyway was that you have this hero who is, and in most of our books we read these books where the hero is so virile and and his stamina is ridiculous, and this guy is just like, look, I'm not gonna make it. It's not gonna happen. This is gonna be a 1, 2, 3 pump kind of situation, and
you gotta get there.
And that's pretty much it. And I thought that was so refreshing that they weren't having this hour-long love fest, that it was just quick and dirty. And I thought it was so hilarious that he was like, fuck it. I really don't care. You can laugh at me later, but for the rest of my life, I'm going to hold on to this scene where I got to be with you. It doesn't matter that I only lasted 3 seconds.
I think he made up for it, like with the coat on the
Tracey.
I mean,
on the boardwalk.
but still, it was great to read that, because I think so often we get caught up in the fantasy of the romance of sex, and we don't really portray it always in a realistic fashion, because
I mean, I'm not sure
when a quickie does it.
Realistic.
Yeah, but like this is not like typical Jessa Kane. Like, let me tell you, the ones that I read, it was like, oh, this is what you have to deal with when you're like sitting on a 9-inch cock. Like,
What? That's not realistic for you?
Listen.
Yeah, and they're all like the size of like a 2-liter bottle of Coke.
Like bread.
Yes. I mean, they are for breeding. So one thing I would say is like it's like very raw, like the men, and again, it's like a slice of America that sometimes is a little jarring for me. as a naturalized citizen of the United States. But I think like what always gets me about, like, I was rereading Preacher Man this afternoon because Andy mentioned it.
Oh, it's my favorite. It's my first.
And I'm like,
I'm surprised by that, by the way. Andy, definitely, that's your id list.
I'm pretty sure I told Joanna about Jessa Kane, because I remember.
Wait, isn't that the one?
I remember Joanna being like, the mobster's masseuse, I'm in.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back in 2 hours.
Yes.
Wait, isn't Preacher Man the one where he like watches her through the window?
Oh,
Yes.
it's 5 different books. It's
It's
5
5
different books.
Wait,
different
doesn't
books.
she masturbate during his sermon too?
She masturbates while he watches her through the window, and he masturbates outside.
And she's wearing like a white like nightgown the whole
yeah.
time.
Yes, a slip to get baptized. That's later. She
She's
usually
to
wears.
get baptized.
That's before we find out he's actually a mafia
Surprising what?
assassin.
I'm gonna have to go
That's
do
my
an
friend.
podcast to
That's
listen
nothing.
to
She
this.
built a church
Her
Oh,
mom
yeah.
hires him to give her an
on
exorcism.
the edge of the woods in her Mississippi town.
I forgot about the exorcism.
There's an exorcism.
that he does with his mouth on her pussy.
Yeah.
He exorcises it right out of her.
I mean, they take the finger. Everyone.
Every
yeah.
book. Every book.
The finger oh, they take it. Yes, it's true. It's fine.
Completely up. I mean, I think that's like what I find very, I don't know. I think that's why I connect. And I don't read a lot of like bananas, bonkers, super taboo stuff. I really don't. But first of all, I think it's because it's that quick shot. It's so short. Like I don't need to read like 40 different kidnappings.
Yeah.
You know, like there's one.
That's fine.
There's wait, sure.
Very sensitive.
My entire Kindle. Like all the kidnappings, that's my entire Kindle. Me and Joanna, we're like, oh, did you read this kidnapping?
It's
Yeah.
not my thing. But if it's one short one, I can handle it.
But if it's like a kidnapping on top of an exorcism on top of Step Brothers, then you're like, okay.
But it's moving. It's moving. It's moving. The momentum's going. It's
it's-
moving.
Wait,
It's
I
really
wanna
also
hear from
there's
Tracey
daddy
and
kinks
Alexis,
in that
though.
book.
I really want to hear from Tracey and Alexis.
Okay.
Tracey, who just looks disturbed by all of it. Alexis, is probably with us,
Tracy's
you
like,
know,
oh my
so-
God.
Yeah. Tracy, what do you read?
He's like, is it too late to back out?
No, that's
That's
not
wide.
it.
Tracy
That's not
came
it.
with a cock mug. It's fine.
Right.
Handle this.
Tracy can handle it.
I've read, is it Sacrifice to the Beast?
Oh, that's such a
That's
good
a
one.
Oh.
I want to hear about that one.
Okay. And so I'm going to start off, despite my facial expressions, by saying, like LaQuette, it was a little tame for me. And that
Ooh.
might be telling about me, but it was a little tame for my reading. And I wondered if, like, as she was writing, like, she delved deeper into her id. Like, I wonder if that came before the preacher book, because I want to read that, or the intern book. Like, I want to read that. So I don't know if there was like a progression.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have a theory. Do you want to hear my theory about this?
Yes.
Yeah.
My theory is that those of us that are Jessa Kane 100s would like to bring people on board to the Jessa Kane train, but if you can't start them with their summer intern, so you
mean-
have to have some that are like kind of normal-ish.
Okay.
And
but-
so then you're like, oh, kind of the Beauty and the Beast one, it's fine, right?
I read something called Sacrifice to the Beast. So I don't know, like, what kind of on-roading you like give people.
Yeah, because if you go in with his summer intern with the survivalists and the cabin,
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so Sacrifice to the Beast was Beauty and the Beast, and it starts off with her father and the villagers pretty much taking her to the forest to be sacrificed to the beast. And I have to admit that throughout, as I was reading the story, the soundtrack to the Disney Beauty and the Beast kept playing in my head. So I kept imagining the villagers like, he will make off with your children, you know, like singing and torches and stuff. That was just my mind. And so apparently, like, in the village, this is modern day, but it goes back and forth between modern day and feeling like the 1950s. I don't know. But anyway, so the village animals have been slaughtered a lot. And so they have had this happen before. And they say it's a beast that lives in the woods. And so to appease the beast, so he won't slaughter their animals. They need
a human sacrifice.
This is 2020, like modern.
Yes.
You're like,
Yeah.
I don't
They
know,
need a
it wasn't enough
virgin.
for me. They're like, we need to sacrifice a virgin.
We need to sacrifice the virgin.
Right. And apparently
That
she's
makes
the only
sense to me.
one. She's the only one that they.
The
I
only
guess.
virgin?
I mean,
And
listen,
maybe
if I
she's
lived
the
in that
best looking
town,
one.
like I'd be getting like laid in the 8th grade just to make sure that I was the best.
That's
Yeah.
right.
No, I'd be
think it's her
organizing bingo
dad.
parties for my
Yeah.
friends.
Wait, the beast
Yeah.
what?
I think maybe her dad gives her away. I think it's like her dad's
He's
okay with
like
it.
with the entire village. Like he's
Sure.
like, yes.
Well,
He's
this
like,
is
just
also
like-
on the id list. The Jessa Kane id list is like dads who are like, fuck off, I don't care.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is on everyone's id list.
so they take
Fair.
her to the woods and tie
Fair.
her to a tree and leave her. And then the beast is like silhouetted against the night and he roars and it's
Mm.
very scary. And I'm thinking, oh my God, is it like an actual beast? Which I don't know. I was like, okay, let's see. And it was not an actual beast. It was just a big man. He's like 7 feet tall.
How
And he's like, apparently
disappointing.
he's very hairy. He might need a haircut and a shave, but they don't do that in the book.
No.
And so yeah, they have sex.
Wait, so she just has sex with this hairy beastie dude?
Yeah,
Hairy
like she
man.
like puts up she like goes against him for the evening, but then the next day they just do it.
Doesn't
they
he
have-
like go down on her first? Isn't it kind of sweet?
Because he doesn't really know. Like he's like, I feel like this would be nice for her. Like,
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
it's like
Maybe
Isaac Planet
if I-
Barbarians. Like,
Let
what's
me
that?
say,
I'm just gonna eat it.
He was very sweet.
Like, say
He was
hello.
very nice and sweet. He was not beast-like at all.
He
He's
wasn't
very
beast-like.
nice and sweet, and he like fell in love with her and her long blonde hair. And so he was very like sweet and as tender with a virgin as you could be when you have a 12-inch.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You brought a prop with you, and I
For
appreciate
the
that.
people who are just listening to the podcast, Tracy
You
just
just whipped out
like,
a ruler, everybody.
pulled out a ruler as though she had come prepared for this.
I mean,
Today.
It's a foot long, like a subway sub, foot long, and she's a virgin.
Like a Subway
a
sub.
foot long.
Foot long.
well,
And, you know,
so you enjoyed it, but not as dirty as you liked. Okay.
yes,
All right.
yes. Oh no,
There is
and
a
then
Pornhub
I
feel
thought there
to
would be a scene because there's a scene where she like, I shouldn't be too loud, I think my kid's up, but there was a scene where she goes down on him in front of these like evil guys.
There's
And I thought it might turn into a
voyeurism
group
angle in a lot of
It
them.
did turn into a group thing.
There's another one like that, and somebody I can't remember
Later
the title,
one.
but it's in a
There's the fight
cabin.
spies. There's
The
the
bu-
fight
Yes,
spies.
and he makes her dad watch.
It's and
Oh,
her
that one I
opponent.
read too. Yeah, that one.
Wait,
is-
Her
what?
opponent, like he puts her on the table.
And LaQuette
and
is like, now what?
I haven't read that. Which one is that one?
Watch me
He's
like claim this
I
woman
don't,
and
I don't
just
want to
does
read
her on
that
the
one.
table.
Tell me which one that one is.
Wait,
so I
Nisha,
cannot read
what's
that.
which one is that one? Her
It's
the
called
fighter.
the fighter's prize, and like he races in to save her because the dad wanted to marry her off to this other dude, and like she's like, no, like I'm with you, and he's like, well then prove it, and basically does her on the table, is like, watch me claim this woman.
Okay, first of all, I just want to premise this with saying that her dad was total trash and sold her.
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't want
actually
to
watch
read
it.
about this chick.
Oh my
getting it
God.
on
There's
in front
one
of
where the
her
dad walks,
dad.
and there's also one where the
There's a
sister walks.
cabin one.
Mm.
There's also one where like the heroine gets auctioned off because she went to a party with her friend.
Suddenly his.
Suddenly
I love
his.
Suddenly His. That one was
Right.
so good.
Like,
That
and
one
they have
doesn't
to
that-
do it.
Yes, that one doesn't leave my Kindle. Like that
Right.
one just
So I think,
I don't ever return that one. That
Wait,
one's
but
a perma lens.
isn't
Now,
there
I'm
one
gonna
where
say
they're
that
in a
as gift,
cabin?
99 cents.
Wait, isn't there one where they're in a cabin and he brings in a priest to watch?
Okay, that one, listen, is the one with Alexa Riley. So it is no longer available on
Oh,
Kindle.
it's Both of
Have to get that one on iBooks. Ask me how I know. That one is called like the Russian. Wait, I'd have to look
I
it up.
haven't read that one.
Oh, Joanna, get going. Joanna has to go.
In the middle of the wedding ceremony, she's like whispering dirty stuff to him, and he basically starts fucking her while the priest is marrying them. And he says to the priest, he says, "Make her my wife while I make her a mother."
Yeah.
Enthusiastically bred.
Some weird shit.
I can see that I'm only gonna go but so
I love
far.
like literally downloading it right now.
Look, everybody's like,
going.
where? Look, Nisha's like, get it in my veins.
No.
Here's the thing.
Nope,
This is
I'm good on
everybody who
that.
listens to the
I'm
podcast
good.
knows that all I care about is when writers do like crazy, like when they're like, I'm just gonna do it. Like, we're just gonna see if this works. Like, I love it. I will always buy your next book if you try that. That is some weird shit.
Yeah, it is.
There's some weird stuff.
I feel
Taken
like
by the Russian.
where we cross-reference all of the tropes. Like this is the one that has voyeurism in it, and like we can like reference like, okay, these are the 5 that have that, or like these are the ones that involve kidnapping.
Yes, Alexis, you're in charge now.
The thing is, they overlap so
Alexis.
much.
Which
It's
one?
like
do
that
overlap.
HB90
Know which
course that
ones are gonna
it's
like hit your buttons.
No, there's a lot of recurring themes in her stories. A lot. I mean, enthusiastically bred almost every epilogue.
oh, every
would make
single
us
one.
think
I'm gonna
about
put a
it.
baby in you is
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
He puts like 3 in her, and I'm like, that can't be comfortable.
and then it's like, then there's the fireman one where they're like, I wonder which one of us is gonna be the dad, and it's like that feels weird. Like,
That's weird.
I
in
don't know what's
Farmer's
up with the
Daughter,
two of
and-
you.
What was that one called?
And also in The Farmer's Daughter, and also Suddenly Theirs, I think, has that one. Who's gonna be the father since we're both fucking her?
And almost
It's
every
her.
book,
It's her 2 protectors. Number 2, her 2 protectors.
Her 2 protectors. So there's 2
almost every
possibilities.
book, the
I
hero
mean,
is obsessed with the heroine from the jump. Like
Oh,
Yes.
So yeah, the one that I read is
They
like
start of the
that.
book.
Can I talk
Oh,
about?
let's.
Alexis.
Yeah.
Alexis's turn.
So I
Eric
read,
is gonna have so much fun with this.
sorry, Eric. So
It's-
I read Queen Sized, which is technically like maybe a fantasy romance in
Should
that
be time travel.
medieval timesy era in like a place that is not a real place except
medieval times.
like Jesus Christ.
Okay.
When
Wait,
they're,
Jesus
you know,
Christ is there? What?
Wait, what?
yeah, the guy's like, Jesus Christ, she's so hot. And I'm like,
Oh,
Oh,
it's
so
not actual Jesus Christ. That would be different.
He's actually there.
so I mean,
Something?
this book could be set on a reality show. It could be set at a Ren fair. Who knows where?
I've said this before. It should have been time travel. He should have been a bouncer from Queens, and he goes through a portal and ends up in the medieval times.
Yeah, and he becomes the king of this like one kingdom that's next to
In New
another
Jersey.
kingdom.
And Hollis, Queens.
They're having this like event between the 2 kingdoms called the Joining, which is kind of what it sounds like. Where, they're like celebrating the peace or something like that. But like a lot of people end up hooking up and, you know, going off with each other and getting married after this.
Joining.
The
is the
joining.
orgy on the page? Is the orgy on the page?
There's no orgy.
Oh.
Surprisingly, I know. I also felt like it was a little.
Tracy's like, I got it.
compared to other things that I've read or what I had been led to believe, but also the heroine is a virgin, and she's trying to stay a virgin throughout this story because she is a farmer and she's got 2 sisters she has to take care of. And she's like, I need a husband. We haven't had good crops the last 2 years, and I need to marry a guy with money so that my sisters can be provided for.
That's
They can
just
stay in school.
sensible.
She's
smart.
Just common
and
sense.
the king is like, he's like newly king, and he's like this giant warrior looking guy, of course. And he's like walking with his friend, and his friend is like, you know, you really should think about getting a wife. And if you ever want to talk about your traumatic childhood, I'm here for you. And he's like, no, I don't want to talk about my feelings. And I definitely don't want a wife. I am so not into this. Oh my God, who is she? Like, and like, he's just been saying all of the reasons why he doesn't want anything. And then he's like, oh my God, who is she? I love her. So he goes over to her and she tells him to drop dead. And
Does she know
this
he's
is hilarious. So it's
She doesn't really know.
basically-
She just thinks he's like too much for her, right?
no, she's just like, she doesn't know who he is for one thing. She
Like
does not know
random
who he
man, I have things to do right now, right? That's
Yeah,
kind of
she's like, I'm like here to find a husband, and like I'm not gonna mess around with you going for a walk by the water. Sure, I know what that means. And he's she finds out he's the king, and she's still just kind of like, all right, fine, I'll go with you. And she's very much like, I
Oh,
don't
you
want any
are
part of this.
rich.
'Cause he's like, I don't want a wife. You're gonna be my mistress. And she's like, hell no, I am not gonna be your mistress. But then he goes down on her, and she goes down on him, like over in a cave. And then she's like,
In
no,
a
not
cave.
I gotta find a husband.
As you do.
Compromising. They're compromising already. It's
What I
Meeting-
love,
Meeting halfway.
yeah, it'll work.
So
but
then
what I love about this is she's like, all right, they have to have sex. Where are they gonna have sex? There must be a cave nearby.
it's like a cave. They're like
In my
If you're in
lifetime, I
medieval
have
times, there
never
must be a cave.
stumbled upon a cave.
Everybody
Never, not
knows.
once.
Everybody knows medieval times are full of caves.
about this book was how funny it was. So she tells him at one point, like, well, your majesty, it's like you're between a lock and a hard place because they're walking along the lock.
Oh
And I
yeah,
really laughed out loud.
she's funny. They're this
really
is
funny.
the
They're very
crazy
fun-
thing.
It was very
They're
funny.
funny.
These books are great. They're very well written. Like
Yeah.
she's
And I'll
a
say,
good
like,
writer.
the first third was like kind of out there, like with setting everything up. There's not a ton of world building, but I think that if you like things like Rain or A Knight's Tale or stuff like that, like The Great, where it's like kind of old timey, but not completely, you would like this.
You like
you
men
know
in
how on TV
armor.
Muslims, they call it like England times.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
world building is like medieval times. Like it's
Yeah.
odd.
Yeah, like they're wearing chain link and
Somebody's
said
eating
wench.
a
Somebody has
turkey
a
leg with
sword.
just their teeth. It's fine.
So they have like a couple of these like competitions for the women to compete so that the men can like pick a wife. And
Wait, what do
she's
they have to
like-
do?
So the first one is like a pie baking competition, and
Yes.
she's like,
Obviously.
I can't believe I have to make this fucking pie for these men, but it's a good ass pie. And the king is even like, this woman has better things to do than making a pie. She's busy. And then she's
Right there.
swapping her pie with this other lady who clearly is like in more dire straits than she is, and her pie sucks. So she swaps her pie, and he notices, and he's like, oh my God, she's amazing.
Good.
And then the other thing is like carrying water, and she helps the woman carry the water. So she's like very good-hearted. But like from there on, it's just like the emotions really get you. Like she's got these two younger sisters, and the king starts to like really think they're adorable too. And she's like very concerned about what values she's showing her sisters, which is why she won't be his mistress. She's like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's not what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, one of the things that's like really interesting about these books is in a typical romance setup, there's like the seeds of misunderstanding are like sown. And then there's like the hero like doesn't believe the heroine, right? But in these books, the hero always is like, she would never fucking do that. So something else must be going on. Like there's this not just like insta love, but there's also like instant trust.
Yes.
And so like there's one, for example, where I think it's called, I'm like, oh, the perfect gift, where her sisters are like, you have to go catch this really rich man and trap him. And she is like, but I'm in love with him, right? She falls in love with him. And then, you know, they're texting her, like, have you done it yet? And she is so freaked out. She's like, I'm going to go see my sisters and tell them that I'm not going to do this. And he finds the phone with these like really incriminating texts. And he's like instantly like, and then he's like, wait, no, she would never do this, right? And so then he goes down, and to prove his love to her, he fucks her in front of the sisters.
Yep, as you do, because
he
Very
doesn't-
reasonable.
Thank goodness, because these are young children.
Thing
They're like
about
10 and
screwing in
12.
front of family.
Okay, not
No,
the
they're all like,
That doesn't
they're all
work.
like,
Doesn't happen in this
they're older. They're
Like
like,
evil older sisters.
the evil older sisters.
realize at a certain point, like
No,
he's like,
LaQuette is
"Oh."
still, it's a no from LaQuette.
He's like, I
I
haven't
have brothers and
explained to
sisters.
her
This is not
my inner
ever something
flaw
that
or
would ever
my
happen.
my wound. So of course she doesn't want to be my mistress yet. Like, how could I have just asked her outright like that? That was so rude of me. So he goes and he's like, I had a terrible childhood. And she's like, I feel so bad for you. Someday you're going to find like a woman you can really love without that. And then she leaves because she's still not going to be his mistress.
She's like,
Peace.
So, I mean, but there's like, I would say the first third was like very funny and a little bit silly. But then after that, I was just like completely hooked in the story because all of the emotional beats are there.
Yeah.
Well, this is the crazy
it was
thing about
satisfying.
these. Yeah, this is the wild thing about these books is like, so her number two protectors, which is about a girl whose father was in the mafia and her house gets like
There's a
set on fire.
Yeah.
And so and she's asleep and like half naked asleep. And
Obviously.
in come two brawny firemen who collect her, and they're together when they see her. So they see her at the exact same time, right? So everything in these
So
books
no
is
one can
faded.
call dibs. Is that
Exactly,
it?
exactly, LaQuette, because we know that that's how it works.
And it's almost like the people, it's like there's an imprinting that happens.
Yes, it's
with-
Fated Maids. Every one of these books
Every
is
book.
Fated Maids.
Every single one
all
of
of them.
And so
Absolutely.
the two of them, so one carries her while the other one like axes his way out of the burning building. And then they're like, well, and the dad's dying and he's like, you got to take care of her. And they're like, yes. And so they just immediately take her to one of their houses. And then all three of them are living together. And there's some like kind of, we don't really, swords do not cross in this or the other one. Well, the other one because they're brothers, but I read both of the ménages and
I
there were
will
no
say
swords
though,
crossing.
it is highly implied in the one with the actual real brothers and then the stepsister that they're crossing off page
Oh
by
boy.
the end.
So in this one, the swords do not cross.
I was like,
No.
I guess there is
So-
a place where this is too much for me. Woo,
So,
good.
no, but in this fireman one, so here's the thing. So I'm reading it and I'm like, okay, cool. And then there's a little bit of like, I wish she was mine alone. I wish she was mine alone, like alpha douchebaggery. And then, but then she's like, I need you both. You both give me different things. And then the older one is like, I'll be your daddy and he can be your brother. And I'm like, what?
No.
I was not prepared for this by the group. And then it was like, but I'm going to read the rest of it. I don't even know myself.
Yeah.
That's me like 89% of the time of me reading these stories. I'm like, this is not okay, but I will continue to read this.
Right. Yeah, sure.
So we were talking about like your starter Jessa Kane's. There is one series that I think it starts with a pinch of sugar, which is about like a nailed
Yes.
it type program.
Mhm,
And they're
mhm.
super filthy.
What is
But
this?
they're
one?
not
A pinch
Getting
of
'em.
sugar?
Pinch of sugar.
Like
Sugar.
there's they're all strangers to each other.
They're all strangers. They see each
No
other on
one's
the set
related
of
to
a,
anybody else.
of
My
a very
parents or any other
related-
place. Yeah.
it's
The
like,
series
they
is
basically
called
nailed it.
The series is called Lights, Camera, Instant Love.
I'm getting
There's
them right
three
now.
of them.
There you go. Clear out some room in your
Wait,
Kindle Unlimited.
Joanna,
Yeah,
what
I
about
want to hear
you?
from my fellow,
They're
my
99
fellow
cents.
Red Mall lady.
So I think my favorite one, my gateway was the Mobster's Masseuse, which I know is Nisha's favorite.
Don't be touching my book.
Whoa.
Joanna.
Weird
I'm
title.
touching it. What I love is like every title is exactly
Yes.
what you get. Like the titles are spot on, the covers are spot on. I also love that when you read it, you'll like, I will read a description of a Jessa Kane book and I'll be like, is that for me? And then I'll start reading it and there's like another 4 tropes in there that are me that are like not in the description. It's like she has a trope wheel in her writing room and she just spins it. And whatever it lands on, she's like, billionaire, done, spin again, exhibitionism, spin it again, daddy kink, done, spin it, done. It's like,
Yes.
and it all works. Like what? So like suddenly his is my favorite, which is the one where she goes out with her girlfriends. They take her to a sex auction. Then they find out she's a virgin and she can't leave. So she's got to sell her virginity because she needs the money. And guess what? There's a billionaire who's like secretly in love with her and he shows up and buys her, but they have to have sex in front
But
of
like his butler
entire-
calls him. His butler calls him because he's been
Yeah.
he's been following her.
yeah.
Butler.
Saturday night in
PI.
Manhattan.
It's a PI. It's a private investigator, like that's trailing her. He's like, "Hey, you got to get over here." Because
I'd rather if it was a butler, honestly.
Like Alfred or Batman.
Maybe it was a
I
butler.
was just thinking that Alexis like Alfred calling Bruce Wayne. Swear to God, I was just
It's like his man. It's like his man. Yes, maybe it's a butler.
Like here's the thing. It could be Batman fanfic. We don't know.
It could be his consigliere because it could be a mafia boss. Like,
Yes,
it doesn't matter.
exactly. You should
That was the
expect
thing that I thought, like reading
Expect
songs,
anything.
like even like if she rewrote the same story on a reality show or at a Ren fair, I would still read it both ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, queen size is time travel. Like I would,
It could be time.
Jessa, if you're watching this, give me the time travel
It
book.
could be
You
a
know,
school
you
play,
both know you can
like-
write me.
I mean, time travel. She just needs to add time travel to the trope wheel.
I want an alien.
I want an alien.
An
book.
alien book.
I really want her to write a sci-fi.
Make some suggestions for the trope wheel. Wait, Nisha, you want to talk about the monsters masseuse since it was brought up?
I took notes.
Oh,
Of course you did.
Oh, we know you. Of course you took notes. We love it.
Nisha's in
So,
charge always.
I love the mobster's masseuse because it is exactly like speaks to my id. First of all, yes, there's obviously like mafia involved, but it's like the hero is like goes in for a massage that his like best friend got him for his birthday, and he has no intention of taking the massage. Like he's like, oh, she'll just play on her phone in the corner and I'll sit in the corner and just work and we'll pretend that we got it, because I would never turn my back to the door or be vulnerable. I can never be vulnerable.
I love that.
So he sees
Foreshadowing.
her, fated mates, instant love, and he's like, will you grant me the honor of like massaging you?
From the waist down.
From the waist down. I mean, it's just a service. It's him being magnanimous and like wanting her to have pleasure. That's it. It has nothing to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, and like gives her like, he's like, I'll give you whatever money you want, and she's like, okay,
To
I'll
massage
take
her from the waist down.
to
She's getting
massage.
money and a massage.
Wait, what?
She's getting money and a massage.
She's getting money and a massage
That's a
with
great
his
Slash
thumb
orgasm.
on her vagina.
And
Oh.
I went to massage and
It is like obviously orgasmic, and she's a virgin, and she's like, if this is what I've been missing, and you know, obviously, like, yes, let's go all the way. And fabulous, because like Jessa Kane has this section, like she writes in the story this like one line that I kind of think like epitomizes a lot of the way that she uses language across all of her books, which is like, I say the things that I say to shock her into remembering me forever. And it's like, okay, well, that makes sense to me, because the way that Jessa Kane uses language in a lot of these like high tension, high passion scenes is very much like shock value. And I 100% remember it. It's like she calls vagina like a gash multiple times. And it's like, what? But it feels like super like
It's
even
very
I-
primal.
yeah.
super
Well-
primal, and I'm like, oh, this is what, hello. And it's great. And then like the best part about the mobster's masseuse is, okay, instant love, then of course she's in danger, and then he goes to her, he's like ride my, like there's like a bunch of stuff that happens, like romance things happens, and then like there's a scene towards the end where, you know, they've kind of declared their love for each other, and he's like, ride me, I just killed someone for you, and she's like totally turned on by it and like just goes for it. She's like, yes, you killed someone for me, I'm all about it. And then he's like, you have to call me your king, and she's like, yep, I'm on it.
Yes.
Let's do this. Calling you king. And like he's like, you know, I'm going to fill you up with like your tummy's favorite juice. And so he's like
thank you. No, thank you.
Yes.
he's
Wait,
like,
actually, the word tummy?
I think
Tell
so.
me.
Wait, I have to do a search for it.
Oh my God.
But you know what I was thinking yesterday when I was trying to explain to my spouse, Jessa Kane? I was like, imagine if 80s movies had just a lot of sex. Like, imagine Grease with a ton of boning. Like, shit is happening, crazy ass thing is happening. Like, there's a car coming down from the sky. Oh, there's Frankie Valley. And then there's like,
she actually uses the word tummy. Like, I highlighted it. It's eat it all up. There you go, gorgeous. Take it down. Let it work its magic in your tummy.
That's not how it works.
Wait, but what
It's not
magic
right.
doesn't work in a
He wants
tummy?
to
It's not
breed
right.
her. So at the end, like the last line of the book in the epilogue is like she tells him, "Breed me, my king."
but hey,
Yes.
but let's be honest, wouldn't this be exactly how, let's say, Sonny Corleone would be with his mistress?
Oh,
Like, let's be real.
100%.
This is literally what.
Nah, Sonny would
Sonny?
have more. He would have more finesse.
No, Sonny.
No,
Oh,
I don't think he
But
would be
Sonny would be
that
straight up the
crude. I mean,
motherfucker.
he was very crude, but he wasn't that corny, is what I'm saying.
He would never say tummy.
My God.
Sonny Corleone does
talking
not
about
say tummy.
Exactly.
Well, no, he wouldn't
exactly.
say tummy.
He
Fredo
wouldn't
would
say
probably-
tummy.
That would be Fredo. Okay, forget it. Maybe
That would be
that's Fredo.
Fredo, yes. Fredo, yes.
So I will say,
Okay, this is Fredo's story.
I will say, if you ever are unsure of how to define daddy for someone, Jessa Kane has done it for us in the book, His Prize Pupil. I literally, when I read this the first time, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and highlight this because if I ever need to describe it to anybody, I will. So she is, of course, about to sell her virginity, same dealio, right? But she's going to go into this room and the madam is giving her like essentially a crash course in like daddy. And she is like, what is this going to mean? And so Estelle, this is the madam, says, look, dear, I don't have time for a long psychology lesson. So here is the condensed version. A father is an accountant in a sweater vest who yawns through your dance recitals. A daddy pulls your hair, fucks you on your hands and knees, then buys you a pretty necklace. There's a difference. You are allowed to enjoy it. Tell me
The
it's not
greatest.
it's
The greatest.
That's a great line.
I'm addending that to the definition of Stern Brunch Daddy.
Yes.
Yes.
I
I
Like
was
a
like,
Stern Brunch Daddy scowls at you, buys you brunch, and then does the rest of that.
sure. But I was like, there it is right there. I mean, so this is like someone who is very in touch with exactly what it is, right? Like when we, like, especially those tropes, because there really is a core story here, right? Like or there's several of them, I think. But a lot of it is just like the fated mates, instant lust, like we will instantly both fall in love with each other. Nothing will stand in our way.
yeah.
Nobody will stand in our way.
And
right?
it's like,
I have questions about My Husband, My Stalker, which I have not read, but
I haven't read that yet.
largely because the title
Yeah.
freaks me out.
Yeah.
But it has on Amazon, it has the most reviews of
yes.
any of her books. That is the most highly reviewed.
So tell me about it, Joanna Shupe.
Jen,
Okay. This one, again, I was like, I'm going to read them all because I know that even if I'm like, there is no fucking way, I am going to be like, all right, it was fine. He saw her on TV, I think, and instantly, of course, fell in love with her.
Yep.
And and then he essentially like finds a way to like essentially meet her.
right.
He meets her and marries her.
Marries her,
without-
and
she
tells her
never-
he's like an insurance salesman or something.
yeah, exactly. And really he's like a hitman, I think.
Right.
And so
course.
I was like, he's a cop. I was like, no, wait, no.
That
he's-
was a TV show in
No.
the 80s, but okay.
They're always also a hitman. All of them are also a hitman.
That's it. It's like
That was
I swear to God, this woman is definitely like my age because I'm like these 80s tropes are really in their heart.
Yes.
So
Yes.
he essentially he like dates her under this assumed identity and marries her, and she doesn't realize that he essentially kind of stalked her, right? Like fell in love with her from afar. And then when she like goes off to work and does her things during the day, if he does not have any assassinations planned,
Oh God.
He will instead like follow her around and like keep an eye on her. And then he finally
He doesn't
reveals
have an
the truth.
assassination plan.
I love
Let's
like,
tell
can
them
we
so.
just, I wish that the people listening could see Jen's face because she's got her full on middle school teacher face on right now
True.
as she's talking about these hitman stalker.
My husband, my stalker.
I know. I was like, and then the symbolism.
Yeah, she's like,
right?
animals are symbols. All animals are
always
symbols.
symbols. Hitmen are always gonna fall in love with you. It's just how it goes.
I would really like to talk about the kingpin's weakness.
Yeah,
Oh, look at Nisha. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Do
That's probably
it.
one of my favorites.
It's I think it's the one that's one of the, like, other than Hefty, which I've discussed, I enjoyed very much and thought was really sweet. The Kingpin's weakness was so mind-blowing to me because it is so, it's like, okay, you're telling me he's a kingpin, but you're presenting me with like an angsty cinnamon roll. Like that's what I'm getting. Like,
Cinnamon roll mafia boss.
like you can tell me he's the greatest criminal mind in modern time.
Wait, can we talk about his name, which is Easton Braun with a W?
Easton Braun, who
Because his name
himself
is
thinks of,
Destiny.
who thinks of himself as the greatest criminal mind in modern history. And he is at the MMA fight in his box.
Sure.
I've personally never been to an MMA fight, so I don't know if they have VIP boxes. I assume they do. So he sees her, asks his man to bring her up to him, which, you know, checks out. Very 80s, very 80s, very 80s. Like I imagine him in like a shiny gray suit. So they bring her up to him, and then immediately, like, you know, he wants her, but she's a virgin.
You have to start with like her passing out, and like that was it.
She passes out when she realizes it's him because everybody knows Easton is the greatest criminal mind in modern history. And so she passes out.
Profile of him in the New York Magazine or something, right?
She passes out. Yeah,
Wait,
like
she read a profile of him in New York Magazine.
Everybody knows him. Everybody knows him.
I don't know, Jen. It all feels plausible.
He's from the underworld, but everybody knows him. Everybody knows about him. He's so handsome too. Like he should not be this. Like anyway, so she goes up. She passes out. Then you know he wants to fuck her, of course. But then she tells him she's a virgin. So he's like, "Well, let me take you out on a quick date first."
Really quick.
Because I don't
Somebody should buy you dinner.
I don't want to take your flower without buying you dinner. So they go and they get in the car.
What a gentleman.
They go to the date.
Like unshell the lobster while they're still on the way to the restaurant.
On the way to the date, she's like, "Oh shoot, my sister, my dad sold her. So if the one guy wins the fight, she has to go with him. And like, can you find out who won the fight?" So I'm like, "Okay, but your sister, like you left her." So she like anyway.
Well,
So they go to
that part of the book, like it crosses with the fighter's
with the fighter's price.
Right.
That's the
Where
sister.
they fuck in front of the priest later.
No, they fuck in front of the dad and the competitor.
Dad.
Yes, yeah, but I mean, in hindsight, she kind of like the stakes were a little bit like different, so it was not anyway. So her sister could have been sold, but she was on a date, so she was gonna check in about it later.
It worked out fine.
Like they didn't like the date place, so they went to like her watering hole.
Her watering hole.
18 years old, by the way.
Everybody knows her because her dad, who's like a deadbeat who sold her sister, was like a patron in this watering hole type pub. Everybody knows it's him, but they're like, "Oh, look how sweet he is with her." So I guess it's fine that he's like the greatest criminal mind in modern history, and he's dating like little, I can't even remember her name.
She's 18.
You said she's
Yeah,
18.
she's like 19.
They're all 18.
She's in college.
Well, you know.
19, maybe.
I mean, they have to be
because the sister's 18.
super fertile because the id list, I mean, like the only thing that is on every one of these id lists is like she's got to get bread.
Can I
She's
tell
got to
you?
get like
Three
all
babies.
these things happen. Like
Wait,
He makes
I know
He makes her
anybody with
first time
children is like,
beautiful.
no, thank you.
wait, listen, I have to
No.
I feel like this Jessa
I had a
person needs
real-
to get
I
in
had to,
touch
like,
with
rest-
somebody and talk about some of these things that she's writing in these books.
But this breeding thing is really interesting. I mean, we've talked about it sort of vaguely on the podcast, the breeding thing, but like it is a thing. It is like a real kink
Yeah.
that
Oh,
like
yeah.
a lot of
Oh
women
my God,
have.
it's
and
like
these-
alpha, like the Omega verse. It's all about like being bred, like,
Yeah.
and it's like
Okay.
super, like literally like millions of people read these stories.
I'm going to tell you, I had to take to my bed when I had this realization. This is not an exaggeration. I read all these fucking books, and the one that is like a hardcore no-go for me is the one where they're in high school. Now, part of this is because I have a student in high school, and I was like, oh, this is really fucking gross. And then I was like, wait, these are the only two that are actually age appropriate. This is age appropriate for this 18-year-old to be with another 18-year-old, and
Yeah.
I'm so grossed out by it. And instead, I'm reading all the fucking books where she is 18 and he's like 30.
30.
And then I had to like lay down, and I
You gotta come to terms with that.
and then I just stopped reading them.
No, Husky, their age difference
Wait,
is not
what
that
did you
much.
say, Alexis?
In Husky, she's like 21.
Oh,
In queen
Just
size,
saying.
she's 21. She's
21.
practically on the
She's an
shelf.
Old lady.
she's an old
Just
lady.
Spinster.
Wait, so
Okay, so can I just interject? The
Yes.
whole time I'm just sitting here thinking about like after this pandemic is over, after we can leave our house, that I can date again, I'm gonna have to tell Adriana about my dates. Wait.
Why
you
is
took
it
me
that only
where?
Adriana gets to hear though? Is what
Yeah, I
wanna
mean,
know.
why can't we just do this?
No,
I was a little offended there.
No,
Andy.
like I'm gonna have to tell all of you, but like Adriana's the one who's gonna be like, wait. He took you where?
No,
No,
it's gonna be like that one time. Do you guys remember the one time that
where
LaQuette?
did he take you before you gave him your flower?
Did you auction off?
Pandemic flower.
No, everyone, there was a time when LaQuette was like, I have something to say. And literally it was like, oh, I envisioned the video of the montage in the film of us all like leaping over furniture to get to our Zooms. It's going to be like that, Andy. Every
remember
time
that.
you have a date,
like
we're going to
that.
leap over furniture to get to the Zoom
We're gonna have to start a whole new texting thread just for your date.
because we don't have enough.
No, but we have to. Can we get back to this? The Kingpin's weakness, where he basically is like, looks her in the eye and is like, "I killed for you," and she's like, "I'm so turned on." Like, Andy, just make sure it's not that. And
No, yeah.
I gotta say though, that works for
to
me.
listen
Like
to
if somebody killed for me, I'd probably do the same. Like
And
that's
if-
hot.
I mean, if you're dating the
banging.
greatest, if you're dating the greatest criminal
mastermind,
mind in
He
modern
better
history,
kill for me. He better kill for me.
It's
Also,
an expert.
It's Chekhov's gun. It's right there on the
His
table.
wife could come back from the dead. She would bang him after he killed all those people. That is just how it goes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
As an aside, I was listening to Joanna's book. What was the third one in the Uptown Girl?
The devil of downtown.
The devil
Oh,
of
the devil of
I was
downtown.
listening to the audiobook without headphones on
Ooh.
while doing a puzzle, and my boyfriend was in the room, and they were describing him, Jack,
Yes.
Yeah.
and it's
He
like
dirty.
he was the like the
dirty.
biggest criminal mastermind in all of New York City, and he also spoke 12 languages and played the piano like a god. And Mike was like,
Yeah.
"What?"
I was like,
Yeah.
yes.
I
Because
mean,
we're
when
okay.
Jack kills for you, you're like, what can we do? Can I get on top of it right now?
Yeah.
Jack doesn't have to say it though. I would know. I'd be like, Jack, I saw what you did.
I need to see the Uptown Girls on Netflix.
Oh my
That's
God!
all
Please,
I'm
Yes.
please, please,
Cosign.
please.
Where do I
Let me-
find that change.org petition?
The only person I would let have Henry Cavill for that part is you for Jack, Joanna.
Oh.
You
As
know
a
what
gift
else?
for
Can I say
Joanna.
another really weird thing I love about Jessa Kane books?
Yes.
It has nothing to do with any of the sex stuff. A lot of these bitches have real interesting jobs, and I just appreciate that. There is
Fashion
one
designer.
where the woman wants to be a roller coaster designer.
Yes.
And I was like,
Yes.
You know what? This is fucking great because again, it reminds me a lot of 80s romances where they all had like they want to go to school or they right. You know what I mean? And not all of them. Sometimes they're just like ingenues, but this one with the roller coaster designer, I was like, this is so nice and specific.
In their summer intern, she is a bungee jumping tester. She tests the bungee jump harness.
You know, Jessa's watching like National Geographic and being like, I'm gonna make the next one a bungee jump.
But you guys, it all ties together. It's like it's just very clever. She's testing the harness, and then their evil mother she rigs the harness, and there she is just dangling off the edge of a bungee cord. Luckily, she has upper body strength for days, and she's able to like hang on and like twist herself into it like an aerialist.
Yeah.
And then they pull her up, and they're so like upset, and then they go after
fuck her.
they go after they take her home, they fuck her, they go after their mother, who then like somehow escapes jail or like makes bail and gets out, and then finds her and tries to drown her in a swimming pool, but then they get there too.
Which book is this?
That's their
summer intern.
Their summer intern.
I was like, her detectors. It could be.
Are there any like relatives in this where the sex is involved?
Yes, that's the one.
There are two brothers.
Just have to like
LaQuette, I know it's so. I'm sorry. I'm very gauche.
Yeah.
I literally read these and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a problem for me. And by the end of the book, it's not.
I know. And then I'm like, sure.
It's fun because you know what? I feel like there's just like, first of all, and again, and this is what I have discovered about myself with taboo romance. If you give it to me in short portions, in small portions, I can roll with most things.
You can't put it down. That's the trick.
Yeah,
if you put it down, you're not going back.
I was thinking about how like we're telling a lot about these stories, but we're like barely scratching the surface of what is happening in all of these books.
Barely.
Because we haven't said,
and they're $1.
They're $1.
99 cents, or you can get it for free on KU.
Yes.
I mean, in his summer intern, she escapes an asylum. Like they've been keeping her captive in an asylum.
Wait, and then she becomes an author's
so she runs away and she stumbles across his cottage
in the woods.
He thinks this is my intern. And
then he's like, wait a minute, she's not, but I'm not gonna tell her I know so that she can stay because I'm really into her.
Because now he's in love with her already.
He's in love, he's imprinted on her.
And there's a lot of cabins in the woods.
There's a lot of survival.
Like as like a life PSA, you should not be interning with a survivalist author in the woods. Like if you get that internship, you need to not go.
That's the Unabomber right there.
Yes, yes. And
just the loner's lady with like the girl who went to her, like, she was pretending to be this like young gay man's, she was a beard.
Right. Wait, it's her and her best friend. Yeah.
For her best friend going to visit his dad because he didn't think his dad would accept him for who he was. But it turns out that the dad knew, and he was like, that's cool, whatever. But then he was like, but I want to fuck your best friend.
Yeah, and the best part is the friend is kind of like sees the attraction between these two and pretends to have a bunch of homework.
Yeah, he goes
to his dad get it on all over the woods.
Is this another Jessa Kane book that we're talking about?
Yes. And also, there's a lot of having sex on the grass.
Yes. Oh God. Yes. She can do anything. She's very
outdoor, against the house,
against the tree.
Yeah, and a lot of things that would chafe. A lot of things that would chafe.
There's a line in Preacher Man when he tells her, I've come so many times against like your houses, like the wall of your house.
Oh my God,
I've worn down the paint. And I told myself, this quarantine has done things to you, Adriana, because I'm gonna keep reading.
Not healthy.
It's
something wrong with this.
Look at Tracy's like, it's not healthy. It's not.
Tracy's concerned about his liquid intake.
I mean, yeah.
Also, speaking of that, they have a lot. There's always like, there's so much.
Oh yeah. There's a very like Pornhub feel to it.
Like a sprinkler, like a garden sprinkler.
Like a gusher.
Yeah, he's
Like
bathing her.
A friend of mine read some romance for the first time, and she was like, there's a lot of really weird things about romance. She's like, but one is the idea that like individual jets of semen can be distinguished. Right? And I was like, yeah, that's probably true.
It's like we roll with it.
LaQuette is done with all of us. She was like, yeah.
I'm like,
I would like my voice removed, my track removed from this.
No, but like,
take my square out.
LaQuette is president of RWA.
I am not president of RWA. I am president-elect of RWA. But either way, if you like it, I love it. I don't yuck on other people's yum. But it's not your yum.
It's not your yum.
A year ago that we did the pegging episode, Sarah.
Yeah.
And I just feel like maybe this is like our New Year's plan.
Well, this is what I was gonna say.
Right.
Yeah, we are putting this episode out on New Year's Eve, as like last year we did pegging on New Year's Eve and we put it out a little early on New Year's Eve. So this year we'll do the same, and it'll be like the fun kind of raunchy episode. Yeah. For New Year's Eve, but this was really fun, and maybe we should just have this crew back every year.
Wait, I don't think Jessa has pegging on the trope wheel.
Well, she should put it in. She should put it in.
Yeah.
Someone call her, tell her aliens and pegging.
Please. Time travel pegging.
Time travel aliens.
Listen, Barb's pegging aliens.
I thought Queen Size was gonna go there because she was like, can't give my virginity because I gotta participate in this stupid wife auction. And like they kind of like skirted around that, like, oh, maybe this, but like they didn't do that. They did like something else instead.
I mean, listen, if she needs to take it to pegging, she should just take it to pegging.
In 2021.
Normalize pegging.
At any cost. Maybe that's a 2021. So yeah, that's I guess okay. And so we have time travel, pegging, aliens, barbs, whatever, those go together. What else is
Wait, can I ask? So the teacher one is his prize pupil, but they're not really teacher student.
So
they are.
They eventually are, yeah.
They are. Not at first.
Photography class from him, and he is her
She's got to sell her virginity, so she ends up at the town, like madam's, place, because she's got to.
Every town has a madam.
Yeah, always transactional. Like what?
Yep.
It's an if. I mean, I honestly think Jessa has her id list laminated and on the wall of her desk, and it's like 10 things, and that's like what she's doing.
And then it's like a deck of
that's all of our homework assignment is to like print out our id lists.
Yeah, make it into a wheel.
Just make it happen. Make it into a wheel.
I don't have a wheel, but I might do that. But that's a good idea. Joanna.
Yeah,
I like it.
Take
I like
three
it.
or four, whatever you come up with, take 3 or 4 of them, make them work somehow.
That moment when you get stuck at the end of a chapter and you're like, what comes next? Just spin the wheel.
Pegging.
Done.
So for
soul virginity sale.
I think what we should do is we should get our id list together and like create like summaries of stories, and like in 2021 be like, is this a Jessa Kane book or not? Or is this like part of Nisha's id?
Yes, very fun. Anyway, we hope that Jessa Kane, like this episode was really done out of love. Jessa, if you are listening, we really do love you, and we think that you're fabulous. If you have never read a Jessa Kane book, you can get them all on Kindle Unlimited, except for the one where they fuck in front of a priest, which you have to get on iTunes, and Jen will.
Another make me have to bless out the blessing oil and pray.
Sorry, LaQuette.
Sorry.
Wait, what'd you say, Jen?
There is a second Jessa Kane, Alexa Riley crossover book that is also available on iBooks only, because Alexa Riley,
isn't in Kindle.
It's not on Kindle.
So you can do that. They are all on Kindle Unlimited, but you don't have to have Kindle Unlimited. You can also buy them for 99 cents a pop on your Kindle.
And this is like, deplatforming of certain Jessa Kane books out of your Kindle Unlimited library. They just stay there forever.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
agreed.
these books literally saved part of my soul during quarantine. I mean, they probably relegated part of it to hell, but like part of it, they salvage.
But we are also
there.
There's no hell in Jessa Kane's universe.
No.
No.
We are releasing this early on New Year's Eve. So if you have nothing to do this New Year's Eve, if you are in your house quarantining and being safe, we hope you are being safe and everybody's being healthy and wearing their masks. And if you're in your house and you're looking for something to do, you can read like 5 or 10 of these tonight.
Charge your Lilo vibrators before you download.
Charge your stuff. Charge your stuff. Plug them in.
Plug everything in. Sanitize, please, before you use it.
Be sanitary.
Yes, plug them in. Sanitize.
Just went.
Oh
left.
boy.
So this has been Andy Christopher and Joanna Shupe and Alexis Daria and Nisha Sharma and Tracey Livesay and LaQuette and Adriana Herrera. I'm Sarah McLean. Jen Reads Romance. And this has been a very special episode of Drunk Romance History and Fated Mates. Watch Drunk Romance History at Andy's Instagram feed. Andy, where can people find you?
At author on Andy J.
And
almost everyone on this chat has been on Drunk Romance History. Joanna's scheduled in January. Alexis, we're still pinning you down. You're gonna get Valentine's Day, just so you know.
ooh.
Still gotta pick a book.
But we will put, so on Fated Mates, we will put links to everybody's Drunk Romance history. We'll put links to everybody's websites so that you can find all these people and their amazing books. These are some of our favorite people, and we are so excited. Thank you all for making time for us this week, this holiday week.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna get Joanna on the phone and we're gonna make the Jessa Kane trope wheel.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And then we'll get Alexis to help us with the making the spreadsheet pretty, and it's all going to be amazing.
And you can find us at fatedmates.net. And Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New
May
Year, everyone.
2021
Happy New Year.
Happy New
be
Year.
the best.